listening to Second Wind with Joyce Buford, where women who are ready to expand their life adventure discover the tools to stop playing small and tap into the courage required to enjoy their second wind. Welcome.
Good morning or afternoon or wherever you listen to Second Wind. I am so happy you're here. This means that you have time to listen to me and you will be really willing to share the message. Like every time I talk to you, I have an awesome guest waiting to join, and you have an experience to have with my guest. So my guest today is Eli Weinstein. Now, Eli is a social worker therapist. Is that correct, Eli? Did I say it?
Yeah, I'm a social work therapist.
Okay. Who has walked in a psych hospital, intense outpatient clinic, and currently runs his own private practice in New York and Nevada. He is married to his wife, Ariella, and has two beautiful children, Rikki and Max. How'd I do in those names?
Great.
Good. Okay. And he lives in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
He created ELIvation and the Dude Therapist podcast. He began as a therapist to fill a need and create a modern outlook on mental health, to create a more digestible and reliable view on mental health. His main goal is to help people on their journey to add support, care, empathy, expertise, and insight. He runs events, seminars, and individual coaching on topics from mental health, awareness, public speaking, coaching, and relationship coaching and confidence boosting. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Out of all of those, because there's quite a list there, what do you have a favorite?
A favorite thing I do?
Yeah.
I love being a therapist. I love working with people.
I know, but you have the larger
relationships.
Groups and
Relationships are my favorite.
Okay. Well, they certainly need work today. I'm telling you. Oh my goodness. So why do you say that?
I think that a lot of people are wanting a lot of quick, easy things in the world that we live in today, and are having a struggle with working really hard on things that are difficult, pushing through the fears, the stress, the worry, the concerns, needs, and having someone else in mind throughout all that stuff in the world that we live in today.
Yeah. Is it because we're a society that it comes so easily growing up? We don't have a lot of challenges in our growing years. Is it because the families we grow up in lend us that structure that we're building in relationships? What is it?
I think it could be everything, right? So if I grew up in a home where my parents were respectful of each other, loving of each other, I could still not do that in my own relationship. I think we create our own narrative about our life and how we learn the lessons, and the culture that we create for ourselves is an individualized situation where we see what we want, look at what we want, take in what we want, and then do what we want with it. But I think that in the world today, literally, I just ordered something earlier today on Amazon, and because Vegas has a warehouse, Amazon warehouse, literally a few miles from it, it gave me an option to get it today in 3 hours versus, and I don't have to pay any extra for it, right? So if a relationship is a struggle, and I can go on every single website and social media to find another person to, talk with, get support from, maybe have physical intimacy with, why am I going to try hard with this person who I am choosing or want to be with? If it gets rocky or difficult, I can just call someone. So I think there's a lot of instant gratification that happens. And I also think that there's a disservice that happens in society where we don't teach people how to have true depth of relationship. In schools and families, I don't think that we give people good structure on communication skills, on listening, on all those wonderful things that are super important for our relationships as a whole.
Did you have that growing up?
I did. I did because of the culture I grew up in, the religion I grew up in. I'm Jewish, and we had a lot of community-based things, and my parents are great. And I think that I also had to learn on my own because I have ADHD, so impulsivity is a struggle of mine, and so I had to learn communication skills of not interrupting people, of letting people talk, listening to people, actually listening, and hearing what someone has to say, are all things that I had to learn. It's why emotional intelligence is one of the hottest topics in the late 90s, early 2000s, because people were finally coming around to the idea where we have to be emotionally aware of other humans to be successful people.
Right. I had a guest not so long ago, and he brought out about that many times when we're having arguments in our marriage, so it puts us up in the 30s, 40s, 50s up. And we sometimes, hopefully not, you would have learned it by your 50s, but that really, although we're frustrated at our partner, it's not his doing, but it is a reaction, an emotion from us of anger toward our younger self and an incident in our younger life. Have I explained that well enough?
Yeah, I know. Like, for example, I'll give an example that happened in my life. When I first got married, my wife and I traveled a lot. And I would get very overwhelmed and stressed every time we would travel. Packing. And I'm not, that's not something that stressed me out. It would just, I would get overwhelmed. I would get reactive, a little snippy, a little sassy. And it reminded me that when I was younger, my mom would get really intense about packing.
Oh.
Right? So there is sometimes, I like to call it an echo of our past, where how someone or what someone says to us can be just an echo of something that happened in the past. The way someone says something reminds us of the way of someone from our past has said it. Even though it's not, they don't mean the same thing, but the way they say it or what they say pulls you right back into that experience. And that's what memories and experiences build us. And if you go from like a cognitive therapy perspective, that's what labeling is, right? If I label myself a certain way because of someone's experiences with me, now everything within that same lens might be labeled that same thing, even though it's totally different. Right? So every experience with a woman is not going to be the same as me as a married man, right? Dating. So if I hold someone to the same way that I dated the first when I was in my early 20s to my mid 20s, it's not going to be the same. But if I hold it in the same regard, I'm going to be a very struggling dater, right? So we have to grow with it and learn what now is, what the now experience is, versus the echo experience of something in the past.
Right. Yeah. So what do you teach on your, I'll go to this, the parenting in the modern age. Are we in the modern age or the age of today? Is that what you're
I think we're in a
addressing?
more modern parenting age.
Okay.
So to me, when we look at old school parenting versus new school parenting or modern parenting, one of the biggest distinctions is being more aware and conscious of our child versus our needs and wants as a parent. So I'll give an example, right? Kid is arguing, having a tantrum or big emotions, and old school parenting would yell and scream, "Stop what you're doing, you're embarrassing me." Right? More modern parenting would be trying to calm your kid down and connecting to them to focus on them versus your embarrassment. Right? And there's a lot of combativeness towards newer parenting from the older parenting community because it seems permissive or letting them get away with things more than someone else. So to me, one of the exciting things that the newer model of parenting, with a lot of research, if you look at books like Daniel Siegel or Tina Bryson, right, the whole brain child and things of that nature, and the work that's coming out now is more about the connection to your child versus being the authority of your child. And not that you're buddy friends with them, right? You're not their best friend, even though me and my daughter, my 3-year-old, we're tight. We're buddies, but she's not my best friend. I have adult friends, right? There isn't some codependency here, but it means that if my daughter is misbehaving or having a tantrum or overwhelmed, I am very aware of her day, her situation, how she's feeling, all those things, to not just react, but connect with her and interact with her where she is now, and not overreact or yell and scream and create fear versus more compassion and love in the home, which I think can be more productive for our kids' future and teach them actual good relationship skills.
Yeah. Do you advocate that both parents, don't want to use the word punish because I don't think you use that word, but control their child or react to the
I think a team
situations?
effort's super important, right? One
What
parent
does
should not
that
be the
mean?
only.
Yeah,
So,
both of them would.
well,
And
yeah, no,
with their
so for example, my wife and I are going to parent our children the same way. I'm not going to be the one who gives in more, or my wife gives in more, or one's stricter or less, right? It's the unit has to have a discussion on how they want to deal with situations. And if a new situation comes up, that sets a tone, and then you talk about it. But the thing with modern parenting is flexibility, that I can make a mistake as a parent,
Mm,
right? I'm not
mm-hmm,
perfect, and I'm not the authority on parenting. That if
right.
I can make a mistake with my daughter and say, hey, little lady, sorry, daddy snapped, he got really angry, and then readjust for the next time
Mm,
and kind of go with the flow and be flexible. But I definitely think both parents, and we do punish our kids. I think punishment has a bad connotation because punishment back in the day was like hitting and,
hitting, spanking.
right? But I'm not, a punishment for my daughter is no more TV, go to bed, right?
Mm-hmm,
We shouldn't be afraid of using the word punishment. I think it's all like how we're doing it and the energy we're doing it to. Is it spite?
mm-hmm,
Is it aggression? Is it aggressive? Is it malice? Is it all those intense things? But I also think as a parent, I think the focus should be more educational, and we're trying to help kids grow up to be successful and functioning adults. That's our goal in everything, right?
mm-hmm.
My daughter just potty trained about a month and a half ago. I really hope that was successful so that she doesn't wear a diaper when she's in her 30s and 40s dating, right? That'd be a really awkward date if the girl had to go change her diaper, right? But also with bedtime, right? Going to sleep, she's learning how to put her shoes on by herself. These are all skills for her future. And so is punishment, right? It's education. There are consequences to actions. You don't just get away with everything. That creates entitlement, and that creates selfishness, and that creates kids who are really annoying adults.
Yes, yes, it does. You also ask or just say you're can discuss how to keep your relationships healthy when being a parent.
Yeah. So when my wife and I first had our daughter,
Hmm.
I call her the
Which one
Rickster.
is that?
That's Rikki. Rikki is my daughter.
Ricky.
Rebecca, short
Ricky.
for Rebecca.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
call her she's the Rickster. I call her the Rickster. It was the hardest year of our marriage
Mm,
because we never were parents before. We didn't know what the heck we needed. So because we
mhm.
didn't know what we needed, we didn't know how to ask for it or get our needs met. I'm talking
Yeah.
shower, sleep, just basic things, food, help. We didn't know
Yeah.
how to ask for it, we didn't know how to express it, and we didn't know how to deal with it.
Hmm.
So because of that, there was so much resentment bubbling up because we didn't know how to express honestly what was bothering us.
Right.
And that anniversary, that year, we had one of our biggest blowout fights
Oh,
because everything just hit a crescendo
and
of
grew.
we're getting it all out.
Yeah. Oh.
We just gotta get it out. We gotta get it out. And now preparing for my son now is 7 months old, Max. Oh, we are in such a better place as newer parents to a newborn
Hmm.
because we have learned what we actually need and how to express ourselves. Relationships don't have to falter or get destroyed by kids.
Hmm.
It is a huge challenge to keep the relationship, fun, exciting, loving, but it doesn't have to die because you have kids.
Mm.
It's an adjustment. It's a pivot that takes compassion and grace for yourself to learn the new reality that is your life as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
But if you forget about your partner because you're too focused on your kids, you're going to lose your partner.
Right.
It's going to become a roommate or someone who happens to be there to help. So the skills that we have to learn is the forever changing world that we have, to listen, to express our needs, to talk about what's bothering us without judgment and fighting and aggression and protective defensiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a ridiculous show that's happening with the kids, screaming, yelling, bedtime, bath time, out in the morning, this trip and screaming in the car, and it's nutso town. It's just nutso town all the time. So I work a lot with parents on and relationships on how to be more connected, even when there's so much potential to disconnect.
Mm-hmm. Right. Do both of you work, or you do? So you have sitters that come to stay with your children, or?
So my daughter is in daycare or
Okay.
school. She's in school now,
Mm-hmm.
and moving out to
At
Vegas
3? At 3.
3. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, she's great. She's loving it. She's a school person. She loves it. My son, who's 7 months old, we don't need a babysitter right now because I work from home. My wife works from home. And my mother, we live with my mother-in-law, who doesn't have a job, who's not working right now. She's kind of retired, so she watches our son also.
Yeah. I wondered if because just your radio and you work from home, I was wondering if you worked from home, because that is a much more even way to handle the family, because you're there. And yet I guess it could bring some of its own stresses if you're both trying to finish a job or do something. That could get very fragile.
That was the struggle of COVID, right? Everyone was trapped at home trying to figure out 18 different roles with 2 people or 3 people, or ever just no separation, natural separation of your life. I remember my wife said to me during COVID, she said, "I miss missing you."
Oh, that's interesting.
Because she would go to work and wouldn't see me until she came home.
Yes.
Instead, I was just there. And she was just there. And our kids were just there. Like we missed missing each other, or the excitement of coming home to see your loved one, or not seeing your kids all day, to then see them at the end of the day to be like, "Hey, how are you? I love you. I haven't seen you." Instead, it was just, you're there. Always. No, but one of the things that I'm going to try to do is we just got a house. And so we're going to put an office in the garage, which is going to be my office. My wife will have an office upstairs in one of the extra bedrooms, to create that space that is ours to work, so that we don't feel on top of each other. We can create that safe space, respectful space for each other's work and life. And we will get a babysitter for our son. Yeah.
All right. Now, do you think we will ever, maybe not in your situation, but do you think we'll ever go back to working in the offices?
I really hope that. I'm a little biased because I love having a home office, and I'm going to open it up for people to come if they would like to see me in person. I think there's a plus to doing therapy or seeing people in person. I think there's an energy that gets created. I also think there's an energy that gets created going into an office. Yes, it is more annoying. You got to get dressed. You got to get out. You got to pack your lunch. You got whatever you're doing to get ready. But I think the environment creates productivity.
Mm-hmm.
When I come out of the morning and I am wearing shorts and a t-shirt to work, my energy about working is going to be different than when I dress. So I usually wear a t-shirt and like Nike pants or like track pants or stretch pants. It's just my comfort level, or jeans. That's my outfit as a therapist. I don't dress up like crazy. I don't need to look fancy. I feel fancy. But if you're working from home and you got kids screaming and boxes are coming to your house and you're doing this errand and you're cooking and you're cleaning, you're not focusing on your job.
No.
You're not. Even if you could do multitasking, you're not your brain. You might be able to do multitasking, but your brain is not able to keep track of everything 100%. You're losing that attention span and ability as you pull it in many directions. So I think a hybrid situation is the most realistic right now, where you go a couple days a week and a couple days you're home. Because I think people got so used to staying at home, they really like it, the comfort of not having to be sitting in traffic and not having to go to an office and not having to get dressed. And things are still running, right? Businesses are still going. So I think a hybrid would create some better, and if you want to go back, go back. But most people don't want to anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Because I live alone, I miss going in and working in an environment where you see people.
Yeah.
So, depending upon your situation, it's different for everybody.
Yeah. 100%.
But I can certainly understand you. You've got enough separation there, particularly when you get in the new home that allows for that.
No, it's hard because, but when I was in the office, I remember when my daughter was first born, I was working at a clinic till 10 o'clock at night twice a week. And my wife called me once. She's like, Ellie, I need you to come home. Rikki pooped everywhere. And I'm like, Ariella, I can't. I'm working.
Yeah.
You got to take care of it. Like I can't, I have a client literally waiting in the lobby to come see me. But I'm like, I can't. I have to work. So, but now I'm literally through this door behind me is the house. So they can just knock and say, hey, I need you. Okay, I'm coming, right? I'm right here. Right? It's not like I have to get in the car, drive back to the house, help, get back in the car. So there is less of a separation because of the access that we have to everything else going on in our world.
Yeah. How do you take care of yourself during the daily world we live in?
Self-care is something that I very much value, and I think that each person needs to take care of themselves in the way that works for them. So I'm a big fan of working out or exercise or getting out of the house and moving. It's why I really want to convince my wife to get a dog sooner than later, so I can get out of the house.
I love dogs.
Yeah, so do I. My in-laws' dogs might scratch at the door and push himself in at some point. He follows me everywhere, even to the bathroom. Right? So that works for me. For some people, it's not. For some people, it's a cozy blanket or a good nap or a good meal or a great cup of coffee or tea, right? And these little things, a rule of thumb that I have, a mantra that I say often is that if you don't have 10 to 15 minutes to yourself a day, something's wrong. Something's very wrong with your life.
Yes. During COVID, I got a dog because I lived alone. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, I had to wait for my dog to be born. But when I picked her up, she has been so good for my physical life. In other words, I would not disappoint her every morning if I didn't get dressed and go out the front door and take that walk around the block.
Yeah.
It's just, you need those things that kind of just pull at your strings and go, oh, please take me for a walk.
Yeah.
And I make so happy, and I'm so glad I did it. And I feel I've got a win right off the bat in my day.
Yeah.
And it just makes a whole difference to the day.
Yeah. And those small things are super important because life is really hard and stressful. We got, bills to pay, people responsible for people, our jobs or things that are pulling at us. And and the news and everything going on around us. It's a lot. And we need to take care of ourselves because in the end, the only one we're left with is us. Everyone else could die, but we have to deal with ourselves. And if we don't know how to or know how to take care of ourselves in the simplest way, sleep is one of the most researched things that can be so helpful for your life. Here he is. You saw the door open?
Oh, it's a mystery.
He's right.
Or is he standing in the door or did he come in?
He's right there.
Oh, he's right there. Just checking on you.
Yes, he does. He comes in, pushes in, and then leaves.
Yes. I am doing a course with Julia Cameron. Do you know Julia Cameron's work? She did The Writers. What's her? She's written about 40 books, but she also does self-growth books that you can go through. And so anyway, one of those was to find every week something and commit to it. Well, you write every day. In the beginning, you start with a journal and you write every day, 3 pages. But we try to buy small journals, 3 pages. And then she asks you every week to take something you like to do and go do it for yourself, do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's such a great tool because we don't do enough of that. We have forgotten what we love to do. And the journaling kind of gets the dump for the day, if you will, gets all those negative thoughts out of your head, and
Yep.
all the, you could have been in your wife's book if she, was really irritated. That's
Yeah.
a great opportunity to use for you. So, Julia wrote Artist Way.
Mm-hmm.
You heard of that one?
I have not,
That's,
but I just looked
yeah.
her up, and she has like
Oh,
80
okay.
books.
Yeah. She's amazing. And so anyway, I like the way she's teaching, and it's a great tool for somebody just to go by and work through on their own. Fortunately, I've had a group that I've been participating in, and we get to exchange some thoughts, but I'm really pushing for the people to get to know what they like to do.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we're adults, I think too many of us forget what we like to do.
Yeah. My one of the things that I'm very into with the parenting is simplicity and joy.
Mm.
So with my daughter, we have a dance party every way or when we go to school. When I drop her off at school, we blast music in the car and just have a dance party, right?
Yeah.
Because I love music and I love joy of music, and my birthday's tomorrow, and my wife and I are going to a concert. Yeah.
Wonderful. Happy birthday.
Thank you. And so, one of the biggest things that I think is lost with kids is their innocence and purity as they grow up.
Right.
To just like, I want to do something, I'm going to dance. Right? If I want to dance, I'm going to dance. And I don't care who's looking. I want to, this song is good. My daughter started, shaking her booty yesterday because there was a song on. She was just, moving her body. She doesn't care.
Cute.
And then we get older and we start worrying about judgment and what people are thinking and what they're going to do and what they're going to say. And we forget the love of life.
Yes.
We forget to love life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think when we keep it very simple and start reconnecting and trying things, we can touch parts of ourselves that have been lost, that are so integral to our core. My wife is from the West Coast. We moved, and I'm from the East Coast, and we moved out to Vegas recently. And for her, being in the ability to be out in the sun and feel good because of the weather is something that she forgot and has always wanted to do. Oh. And now she's happy because of that.
Right.
And I never knew how much I loved the sun, right? And being outdoors and adventurous. But I was always like that as a kid, but I just haven't done it because of where I lived and situations in life and forgot it.
Yeah.
So I love that idea of taking time for ourselves and something we want to do. You find something you want to do, just go do it. Don't ask. Don't think about it. Just go. Try. Have.
So you do emphasize that partners still need their private time.
You better.
Okay.
You better. You want to hear something that happened recently?
Sure.
Recently, my wife and I bought mattresses for our house.
Uh-huh.
We got 2 queen-size beds because we have a massive bedroom and we're going to utilize it for awesomeness, right? So 2 queen-size beds. And the seller said, "Why do you need 2 queen-size beds? Why not 1 king-size?" I said, "Dude, I want my space." Right? We're going to cuddle.
Yes.
Then we're going to go to bed. Right? I need my individual. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'2", 230 pounds. I hug that bed. I spread out. I move. I don't want to push my wife around. I don't want to have that uncomfortability. Embrace your space. I 100%, as a relationship specialist who works with couples every day and relationship stuff every day as my job, you better have individuality, because to lose yourself in a couple is not healthy. You should not become codependent on everything being relied on from your couple, because you cannot fill your entire cup from one person.
Right.
You need to have multiple things and avenues that fill your cup. And for some, it's a bro night watching sports. For some, it's quiet time listening to your favorite music, right? My wife wants to do something on Sunday. Go. I got the kids, but then later I'm going to do something and you got the kid, right? And then we're going to do something together, right? Individuality doesn't steal from the unit. It enhances the unit because you feel more confident in yourself. So 1,000% I agree with that. Individuality is so key.
That's important to hear. I think way too many times people don't get enough of that in their relationship,
Yeah.
and they forget themselves. They forget,
Yep.
by the time they're 50 and 60, they don't remember what they used to like to do
Yep. 100%.
because they're cooking supper or doing something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Yes. So, what is the most challenging thing for you doing therapy work
As a
in the
therapist,
couple?
oh,
Uh-huh.
in couple, I
Uh-huh.
would say the most challenging thing is learning to balance both people in the room
Mm-hmm.
without letting my own personal thought process about the couple impact my biasy. So if I see that one person in the couple really needs to shift and change or is really toxic, or I need to be balanced to be able to include them in the process and not disconnect them from the process. And
Wow.
the goal of the relationship couples therapy is to enhance the couple for what works for them, not
Mm-hmm.
me. It doesn't matter about me.
Do you normally take a couple that is not working well together and work with them individually?
Yeah, so the theory that I work under is that I will work with a couple individually, with together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, for example, this happened this week. One of the people wanted to work individually on something that they weren't ready to talk about with the couple.
Mm.
I will work with them individually, focused on the relationship in the couple,
Yeah.
because they have their own individual therapist for their own stuff. But this is all the focus and the lens of the individual work is the couple and the relationship. So
Yeah.
very much so, I will split them up for maybe a session here and there. If a conversation or something got too intense or really, really hard, I'll have a follow-up session with them at the end of the week or whatever they are in the week to check in, make sure they're okay, individually or as a couple. But yes, I do split them up sometimes.
But you still work with them as singles as well as the married couple.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I will
Yeah.
not, just to clarify, I will not work with someone individually on their rest of their life as well as their couples therapy.
Yeah.
I will work with as their couples therapist and want a few sessions here and there randomly
Oh,
when needed. Do
right.
individual. Because there's like
Yeah.
a crisscross applesauce of biases of like their individual life bleeding into the couples therapy can be kind of confusing sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And that works well. You're using the internet for
Yeah,
that, and that's working well.
it's working for my clients. Ideally, I think it would be better in person. All my New York clients signed off and know they want to they want to stay with me, so they work with me virtually. And before I work with anyone, I tell them it's virtual for the time being, especially in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, do I think it's the most beneficial? That's up to the person and what they think they're getting out of it. It's not about
Right.
me. Do I
Right.
like the in-person energy? Yeah. Do I like the virtual accessibility and ease? I do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why when I make my office, it's going to be an option. You can come if you want, and if you don't, I have it. Come.
Right.
And if you don't, I'm
Right.
still going to see you.
Yeah. Yeah. So why'd you choose Las Vegas?
Great question. My in-laws lived in LA.
Uh-huh.
My wife is from LA, but LA is too darn expensive to move to.
Uh-huh.
So my in-laws were wondering where can we live that has nice weather, like is the sun, has a Jewish community,
Mm-hmm.
and my kids can afford because
Mm-hmm.
my wife has two other sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So they picked Vegas because it's close enough to LA. It's a 4-hour drive, so a lot of my wife's family still lives there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go and visit if you'd like. And we came and visited here, and they moved like a year and a half ago, and we came and visited, and we love the community, we love the people, we love the area, we love what it's like here, and we're like,
Yeah.
we're done, we're going. And we left New York, and we're here.
Yeah.
It was a lot
But
more complex than that. It was not easy for me because I've been born and raised in New York, and my family's all in New York, so it was a little stressful,
oh, they
but
say.
super happy we did it.
But have they come to visit you yet?
Yeah. My mom came to visit. My mom and dad are going to come together. I think Thanksgiving once we have the house and they can sleep by us.
Yeah.
We already have a guest book already getting booked already. A lot of our friends are ready to come out. They're already booked for January. We're full the whole January. We're full on weekends. Friends are coming. We got December, February. If anyone listening, come out. But yeah, we got a lot of friends already already asking to set their room up already.
Yes. Well, I've always been to Las Vegas to play the tables,
Yeah.
not, any other. I didn't even know you could go any other way.
Yeah, the suburban area is like 15, 20 minutes away from the strip. It's quiet, it's calm. And you know what? Every 7-Eleven and every single gas station's got the slot machine, so you don't have to worry. And there are smaller casinos in the area that are more for the people who live here. And the strip is somewhere where like tourists go, but we still go. We still have a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've got fun things on that strip.
Just a few. Just a few fun
and it's
things.
grown so big.
Just a few
From
things.
the first time I ever went. I went. So it is a fun place. But it takes a person that has can't be tempted, I think, to pull that arm, go to the play. So maybe it's better I live in Tyler, Texas.
You know you, right? You know you.
I know me. I don't think I need to go there. But we do. We have a little mini casino town in Shreveport, Louisiana, which is only 100 miles away.
Only.
And so only because a lot of people from here go over there.
Yeah.
So that's the fun day in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Fun times.
Yes. Now, do they have a great children's museum? I'm sure they do in Las Vegas.
No, I have no idea. Ask my wife. She knows all the good spots here. They have some good places to go play and like indoor things. They have stuff on the strip for kids, like a museum and zoo and stuff like that, like an aquarium.
Yeah, you do. That is what
stuff.
children.
Oh yeah, they have an activity center, like a discovery center where they can like play with their hands and like listen to things and touch things. Yeah, they do have that. Yeah.
It's called hands-on learning.
Yeah.
Because I put one in here in Texas, in Tyler. Yeah.
Awesome.
In my earlier days. So anyway, now, is there anything else you want to share with my listeners before we?
No, I think we got to a lot of awesome things, great topics, great conversation. It's just take care of yourself, be compassionate, honest with yourself, and be honest with the people in your life. And hopefully that leads to a lot more success.
Well, I really appreciate that you came on Second Wind. And there was one question that I didn't ask you, and I just always like to know in everybody's interview what their defining moment was that shifted them into a different direction. And I loved your answer.
Well, I totally forgot what I wrote, but I hope.
Well, when I had my first child.
Oh yeah.
And shifted my perspective on life, mental health, and myself.
Yeah, when I had my daughter, I had a panic attack about 7 weeks into her life, and it really gave me perspective on the people I work with, how I need to take care of myself, and the effort that it takes to be a parent, and it shifted my drive and my goal in life. It shifted my everything. I will kill for my child and children, and it changed how I look at the world and how I relate to the world, and I push harder every day because of them. So it shifted everything.
Yeah, it really calls for me. I remember the word patience.
Yeah,
parenting is about patience.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, no, it is. It is very much so.
Now, mine are all 30s and above now, so no worries. But
you still need patience for them.
Oh, that's true, but it's a different type of patience. But anyway, it's always fun talking about people that do work like you do that are so available for people, because I do think the internet has enabled you to continue your work, as you've definitely shared with us.
Yeah.
And coming from a small town, I mean, this is not small, but it's about 100,000. Sometimes we just don't have as many skilled practitioners. And I think finding a therapist that works well with you is a challenge sometimes. Do you have any support on that?
Yeah, one of my rules of thumb is that no matter who reaches out to me and where they reach out to me from, I always call back or send them back an email, because finding a therapist is so important that you connect with and to actually get an answer. sometimes I call someone and they're like, oh my gosh, you're the 8th therapist that I called and you're the only one who answered. And that breaks my heart. And I know when I was looking for therapists myself, right? I reached out about 5 months ago. I just got an email back from one of them like last week, 5 months ago. So not working with that one, clearly.
No.
But I think that your connection with a therapist is the key to therapy helping. Because if you actually like them and you want to show up every week and talk to them, that's what's going to help. It's the consistency and the relationship. So keep on plugging away. Look at this. Go to Psychology Today for websites to filter in your area, location, issues, struggles. Just keep searching, keep calling, keep emailing, and hopefully you'll find someone that you relate to.
But that sends me to another question. How important is it when we get really frustrated and confused as individuals, maybe in interacting with our spouse, that we reach out and look at the therapist, not as he's going to fix me, but it's just that person you can reach out and talk to and you want an answer. Is that me being crazy, or who is that? Or what do I need to do? Or where do I need to go?
Yeah.
That's what I get from your response.
100% is what it's about. Yeah. I might be trained. I might be specialized in certain things and gone to years of school and seminar. I am not an expert in you. You are the expert in yourself. I am here to help refine that expertise in yourself. I do not know better than you for your life. I'm just trained to observe and listen and pay attention to things that you might be saying to help you in your life. Right. But I am not this blank slate who just sits back and goes, oh yeah. It's a relationship. It's interactive. It's someone to have in your life to, spitball ideas and back and forth and have conversations and have a relationship with, that is not someone above you, but right with you. Yeah. 100%.
Good point. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, I am going to say goodbye now because they're not going to flash into my mind now any more questions. But I do thank you for giving us this time, so that I know there are people out there that maybe will go to your website and ask for some support. And if they feel for that, then I think it's the wisest thing for them to do, to listen to their intentions and their messages from inside and reach out without panic or fear that it's the wrong move to make. So thank you for being here. I'm going to say a few words to my listeners and then I'll come back to you. So remember, dear listeners, that I always ask you to be sure and share this. If you know somebody out there that is struggling in their relationship with a partner or a family member, do them the favor of telling them to listen to Second Wind and hear the message today. And so you have a great opportunity here to help a friend that is struggling. So I really, really ask you to reach out. Now, I do want to tell you this before I say totally goodbye. You can go to email thedudetherapist@gmail.com, or Eli, can they call you?
Yeah.
They can call Eli at 516-459-9904. So go to his website. You might want to go to his podcast as well, because I think it'd probably be some pretty good information. So thank you, and I hope you all have a great week.
Joyce Buford returns next week at the same time for another edition of Second Wind. Through the Joyce Buford Empowerment System, women are receiving the support they need through their transitions and are able to reclaim their true purpose with confidence. They receive the tools they need to map out new lives. You can find out more about her coaching services at joycebufordempowers.com.